Model 3 is one of Tesla's most significant cars, and here we look at the top performance version, which in its updated form gets a smarter look, an upgraded interior and considerably sharper handling. If your mid-sized executive EV saloon needs to be seriously sporting, then it's a car you can't ignore.
Quite a lot's different with this updated Model 3 performance, which now produces 453 brake horsepower. There's a more performance-tuned chassis with increased stiffness for improved handling. Tesla has also added upgraded stabilizer bars, springs and bushings. For the first time in a Model 3, there's also adaptive damping, and the added carbon fiber rear spoiler is supposed to optimize lift balance and high-speed stability. This top all-wheel drive performance derivative shares the surprisingly sharp handling of more standard Model 3 variants, and more positives are accrued by the impressively well-modulated throttle, though it's still prone to lurch the car forward like a startled rabbit if used without due care. If you were to mash it into the bulkhead of this top performance spec variant, having activated the aptly named insane driving mode, you'd reach 60 miles an hour in just 2.9 seconds en route to 163 miles an hour. Think M3s and C63s, or just see this Tesla as Ferrari fast. This performance derivative is further embellished by larger 20-inch wheels shod with bespoke tyres and Brembo competition-style brakes, though the pedal feel that you get from them doesn't feel entirely natural. Also significant is the inclusion of an improved latest generation version of the company's track mode system, which allows the driver to customize stability levels, handling balance and regenerative braking. Track mode activates a kind of torque vectoring setup that shuttles torque between front and rear axles to offer either more or less cornering rotation as needed. That works well, so it's disappointing that there's not really enough steering feel to give you the confidence to really exploit it, even if you take up the provided screen option of adding weight to the steering. Track mode also works with what the brand calls a vehicle dynamics controller that eases back the normally quite intrusive traction and stability control systems so that they allow more slip. So much so, in fact, that pro driver circuit corner drifting is even possible. This kind of driving can be rough on the car's cooling system, so track mode recalibrates that to cool the car more aggressively and proactively. For this updated Model 3, Tesla has engineered in a dramatic increase in regenerative braking to capture extra energy more efficiently, aiding a range figure rated at 328 miles. The Model 3 was updated for the 2024 production year with sleeker exterior design, which sees sharper body lines and aero-optimized surfaces, reducing drag, improving wind noise and increasing range. As with the previous Model 3 performance, though, you'd really have to know your Teslas to be able to differentiate this top version from an ordinary dual motor variant. Right, time to check out the cabin. Inside, you'll still find it all a bit plain if you're expecting the kind of cabin embellishment you'd get from a rival European high-performance sub-brand. Apart from a bit of extra carbon fiber detailing with a unique Tesla weave pattern, the only real indication that you're in the top performance model is this logo just under the jutting headrest of these front sports seats. They've been redesigned as part of this update with enhanced side cushions and side bolsters, which hold you in a bit better through the bends. These chairs can be heated and ventilated too. Otherwise, as much as in any other Model 3, the updated one anyway, which goes without indicator and gear shift steering wheel stalks, which, as on the ordinary version of this car, is a terrible change for the worse. The old Model 3 performance felt a bit cheap compared to most of its segment rivals. Now it doesn't. That's thanks to upgraded materials, real aluminium textiles and so on, and customizable ambient lighting wrapping around the full cabin. You'll have to adjust to the way that the driving position sits you a little higher than the mid-sized saloon segment norm, but the lack of a central transmission tunnel frees up a load of space for useful extra stowage compartments. As before, all the key controls lie on this enormous, super bright and responsive 15.4-inch landscape orientated central touchscreen, including the climate functions, the lights, and potentially more dangerously, the wipers. This monitor now has more usable screen area thanks to a thinner bezel, but otherwise is much as before, featuring customizable UI and getting better over time with over-the-air updates. There's the brand's familiar, curious insistence on displaying the usual driving instruments on the nearer third of this screen. Right, time to take a look in the back. At first glance here, all seems good. There's certainly much more space than you'd get in a combustion engine model of this sort. Take a seat though, and you find that, as usual with a Model 3 and as usual with an EV, there's a raised floor matched with low set seats. The result being that you sit with your knees slightly higher than they would normally be. Once you adjust to this, you'll find that legroom isn't bad. One 6-footer can just about sit behind another, thanks in part to these scalloped seat backs. Though the fact that you can't slide your feet under the seat in front is something of a limiting factor. If you're seated behind the front passenger seat and there's no occupant in front, your legroom can be vastly improved because you can move forward said front chair using this center screen. This 8-inch display, a freshly added feature for this revised model. This neat little monitor also alters fan speed, media sources, audio volume, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Plus, you can play games on it, and Tesla will improve it with over-the-air updates, just like the front screen. You get twin USB-C ports below the central vent. There are overhead reading lights, little coat hooks, decently sized flock-lined door bins, but you don't get a central armrest or seat back pockets. Finally, let's take a look at the boot. The capacity on offer here is 425 litres, and it's a good square usable space. Buggies and golf bags will easily fit, and there are recessed areas on both sides, plus a deep well under the cargo base for the charging leads that could also take other small items that you might not want sliding around the boot floor. We'll finish with a look at the frunk, the fruit, or whatever you want to call it, up front in the nose. Like the one in the Model S, it can't quite swallow suitcases, but its 117 litre capacity is probably good for a couple of small, squashy bags.